The following podcast contains adult themes and adult language. Listener discretion advised.
And although we joke, if you or someone you know is affected by or a victim of domestic violence, dial 1-800-799-7233 or visit the National Domestic Violence Hotline's website, thehotline.org.
But it's always the husband, it's always the husband, it's always the husband. I don't keep bed.
Hi, everybody. This is Sarah.
Oh, we already started poorly. And this is Megan.
You are listening to It's Always the Husband podcast.
Welcome.
Yes. And I guess I'm losing my voice again for the 430th.
I do not accept that. Thank you.
I don't know. I'll try to do better.
Yeah, I hope so. That's what our
Gary
listeners
Out.
deserve.
Yeah, they do deserve it.
Uh-huh.
What do we do on this podcast?
Oh,
Megan?
hi. Would you like me to tell
I don't
hi
know.
if you're listening
We don't have to
for
tell
the first
people
time?
about it, but I don't know.
Welcome. We are a true crime podcast where we there never seems to be a shortage of men who fucking murder their wives, and
a lot of them do it. And
A
they
lot
could
of them
just,
do.
Leave.
They could just pay for a divorce. We stress that a lot at the beginning of
Or not get divorced and just
The
get
podcast?
separated and just never talk to each other
who
again.
cares? I mean, really, that's the point that we're at.
Yeah.
At this point in our lives.
Do you really want to get married again?
No, we
nobody
don't want to
does.
get married again.
Yeah.
And so we'll just go our separate ways and stay married and then die.
Yeah.
And that's fine. Anyway, it's a true crime podcast, and we just basically try to roast the husband murderer.
It's usually pretty easy.
It is usually not hard. We also like to find videos or like shows where they reenact so that we can make fun of the reenactors as well. We also have a Facebook group called It's Always the Husband Podcast Group, and you can join it. And we talk about the episodes there. If you want, you can message us and give us some ideas for if you've seen a real fucked show that you want us to watch and
ideas.
talk about. Yeah, we've gotten some great ideas from listeners there. You can also follow us on socials. It's Always the Husband Podcast. Follow
and
us.
rate and review if you get a chance. That helps every podcast.
Exactly.
And share
Thank
with
you.
your friends.
Tell all your whore friends about us because we appreciate it.
We do have a Patreon too, where you can get special, only for you episodes that are of an advanced quality. So we have 2 new members.
Who could that be?
Becky Johnson, and at first I was like, Betsy Johnson,
The
designer.
but
it's
no.
Becky Johnson, even better. It's Becky Johnson.
is.
Welcome.
Yeah.
And Susanna knows an old whore.
I feel like Susanna is a young
Susanna's
kindred
a young
spirit.
young, beautiful gal that knows an old whore. And the old whore is turning older. This old whore currently is 50. Have you ever heard of someone so gross to be 50?
Old? That's
where you have
dead.
foot in the grave and your puss is in the grave.
With you. At least one side of your labia is hanging in the grave with
You're so
your foot.
old to be 50, and she's going to be 51.
Roll it up.
I mean, what do you do with it? It's just dust.
What is this person's name?
This person's name is Rendy.
Rendy.
Yes. You know what I'm going to send her for her birthday? Nudes of Mr. Edwards. And Doc Baker.
I feel like Rendy is going to fucking love that.
I think she will. But she's celebrating 51.
I am going to get her a vaginal sling.
Oh, she may need it.
Just
all of us need it.
one-sided.
'Cause all of our friends need it, and we're all 50.
Yeah. Yeah.
On March 24th.
March 24th?
She's kicking it into her second half nickel or half dollar. And her puss has never been better, I'm sure.
Is going to be 51.
51. Well, happy birthday, Rendy.
Susanna, thanks
This
for
is a gift
letting us
from
know.
your lovely college-aged daughter. We have college-aged daughters.
We do.
Too. Well, mine's beyond.
Does that mean
I don't know how old she is.
that I
forget.
have a foot in the grave
And a puss in the grave.
and half of my puss in the grave?
Yes. We're supposed to be dead.
Shit.
Yeah. But
All right.
we'll
well,
send you those
Randy-
nudes right away. they're
Oh,
good.
and then just imagine me singing this. Play this part right when you see Mr. Edwards' news. Ready? Old Dean Tucker was a fine old man who washed his face in a frying pan and combed his hair with a wig and wheeling down with a toothache in his hair. Oh.
What
We
could
love
be
you,
be- what could be
Randy.
better than that? Why do you have news of this old man? As your friends come over. Oh.
I can't believe you don't know Isaiah Edwards.
Yes.
The love of my life.
Well, birthdays in March. Do you
Yeah.
get ham boned on St. Patrick's Day and celebrate then, or do you wait?
So I have to tell you something that happened to me. Speaking of St. Patrick's Day, I was at a dance competition this weekend.
Oh, Jesus.
And, and it was far away, so we had to stay in a hotel. And so there was only really one place in town that served alcohol and food that we knew of that was like acceptable for our kind of people to
Yes,
be there.
trash.
Yeah, trash
Oh.
with 1,000 kids.
Yep.
And so we went to this place called Pizza Pub or Pizza and Pub. I don't know. We went there like 49 times. And so we had some dances in the morning and then we had a big break and then we had to go back from like, I don't know, 5 to midnight and watch.
Yeah.
So we had a little bit of a break and I thought I'm going to have a beer. I didn't want anything too hardcore. I didn't want to get hammered, because I still had a long night ahead of me.
Ew, yeah.
And so I ordered a beer and he's like, what kind do you want? And I'm like, I don't care. Like a Coors Light is fine. But I like my beer with bloody mix, right? Because I like bloody
you do
beers.
that, yes.
So I always order it with like tomato juice or I asked, can I have Bloody Mary mix with it? So he comes and he brings me literally, it's the kind of mug that like bruises your hand because it's so
it's
big.
like a Oktoberfest
Yes.
mug.
And so he brings it over and it's fucking bright green. And I was like, who got a green drink? And he's like, that's yours. And I said, what? And he's like, well, it's St. Patrick's Day, so the Coors Light keg is green.
Oh.
Now imagine me putting Bloody Mary mix in a green beer. It looked like I was drinking swamp
Brown.
piss. Yes. And like the Bloody Mary tomatoey, like whatever.
Well, yeah, it would turn
It was
unfortunate.
Yeah, it just kind of clumped up on the top and it did not look appealing. I mean, it tasted fine, but it was a bad choice. I should have just had something else. I didn't know because
But
it
you
was
drank it?
I drank the whole fucking
yeah.
thing. Of course I did.
Well, I mean, that's festive.
Yeah, so that happened. Happy St. Patrick's Day, a day late and a dollar short. I'm a McDermott by marriage, so my husband's people celebrate. I am Norwegian and German, so I try.
My mom, I think, is
Well,
Irish,
you have
so
fiery red hair.
Yeah.
You have to be Irish.
it has to be somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Maybe. I'm sure.
And this is also how trashy I am. I opened some Prosecco for the weekend after the really long night, and then I was just too tired to drink the whole thing. So I didn't want to leave Prosecco behind. So I filled up a sippy cup and took it home.
Well, yeah.
And I'm now drinking it, and it's flatter than me when I was in 7th grade, and I'm still drinking it. Like there's no fizz in it at all. It's pretty disgusting. But
Just shake your hand. When
I
you put
will
it.
not let Prosecco go
No.
to waste.
Good for you.
All right. Because our shitty, trashy lives are so terrible, we usually have to talk about something that gets us through the week, and that's our glitter and the shitter. We like to shorten it up and call it GITS.
Yeah.
What's your GITS this week?
Mine is booze and substances. I have 8 more days until spring break.
How are we going to make it?
Booze and substances.
Okay. Is there a particular booze that you enjoy?
A liquid. Booze.
Anything
that
is
goes down
liquid.
like this.
Okay.
Gunk, 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 gunk. Yep, that's going to get me through.
I'm game.
Where I don't commit a crime.
Okay.
So that's my glitter, and
Let's
shitter.
hope that it
Yep.
gets you through the
It will.
next
8 days.
8 days. Okay, great.
Yep. How about you?
My glitter in the shitter right now is Minnesota weather.
Oh.
Because last week it was literally 72 degrees one day.
Right.
And we were all about
We were in
stripped
Minnesotans
down.
wear bikinis like that, and we're
Yes.
sweating our nuts off.
We were completely dying of heat exhaustion. We were all
Yes.
outside. Everyone in the neighborhood was outside. We're walking our dogs. We're walking ourselves in shorts and t-shirts and tank tops.
That's middle of the summer.
And so that was like Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah.
Friday. It was gorgeous. Saturday, walked out. It was 23 degrees.
Right. Your nipples freeze. Your puss is frozen.
Snow precipitation was swirling
Yeah.
on Saturday. Okay. Freezing on Sunday. Today is Monday. Right now, it is 63 degrees in Minnesota.
There it is again. Get the bikini
Sun
on.
is shining.
Yep.
I'm thinking about putting on my shorts. I open my phone and there's a fucking winter storm watch
storm, blizzard.
in effect. A blizzard watch. We're supposed to get 3,000 feet of snow
It doesn't know who it wants to
on
be.
Wednesday, but it is 63 degrees right now.
It's concerning.
There's an 80% chance
The earth is
of a
struggling.
snowstorm. Thank you, Minnesota weather.
It'd be lovely to not be able to go into work.
That's the only
But I don't
want to
have.
about it.
I feel like we're free almost, and then we get snowed in again.
I know.
And then you have to eat your pets and all that. What they say happens.
No, we're not gonna.
Yeah. So who knows what will happen this
I
week?
don't know.
When it will mellow out.
But thanks. I guess both of our glitters and the shitters were kind of facetious. Like,
Yeah.
we're really struggling over here. We
just need to get
a
through the next.
vacation.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
And then we have a Facebook group, and people put in really funny stuff. So we like to pick our favorites, and it's very hard to pick favorites because they're all very funny.
It is.
But today I looked, and this just made me really giggle. So I decided to pick it, especially since my sister is a nurse. And it was a hospital that tried to be kind and had a lovely banner that was supposed to say, "Heroes work here." But the way the banner was folded, it looks like it says, "Hoes work here. Workplace of hoes." And
I wanted to pick it too. I almost picked it, and then you were like, "I picked that one."
drive by and it says, "Hoes work here."
Hoes work
I thought
here.
that could be on my workplace too.
Yeah.
Super hoes work here.
Yes, exactly.
You drive up to work and you just park and it says, "Oh, great." There's a huge banner that says hoes. Hoes work here.
I loved it.
It's not wrong.
Too. I know. And so I had to repick, so I scrolled through.
You
and
did
then
pick a great one.
I saw, of course, our favorite. We've talked about it many times. If this is your first time listening, this may surprise you or may not after you've just heard 10 minutes of us talking about nonsense. But one of our collective favorite movies ever is Overboard with Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. And somebody
The best
put,
movie ever.
It was Heather Bell. She put the kind of reel or whatever, and it says, "Teachers spending quality time with their family after work." And it's the scene where Goldie Hawn goes completely
After she's cleaned all day.
insane because she is like, "Why do I have too many kids and they're all awful and this house is a disaster?" And she's just going,
Ba, 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 ba.
That's how it feels.
That's when you come home. You just stare at the wall, slack jaw,
You're dead to the world.
and you have no strength to even do anything.
I mean, our marriages are failing. Our kids hate our guts. We can't get it together because we're and then our kids go, Alexa, when she goes. Bah, 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 bah. Sorry, I had to work it in there. All right. We also have a bunch of nerds, and we're nerds too. And we like to read, thrillers. And
yes.
on March 25th, which is next week at 7:30 p.m. It's a Tuesday, Central Standard Time, 7:30 Central. We are going to discuss Hidden Pictures by Jason Recollect. Yes. I got it right.
You did.
I even looked it up. I didn't say
You did a
Hidden
perfect
Figures or Dumb Pictures. It's called Hidden Pictures by Jason Recollect. Okay. Read away and then join us online. I already make it? I feel like I already made the Zoom link for it. Could that be real or did I have a dream about it?
I think you did.
Okay, well, it's on our Facebook group. So in order to be in book club, I guess you have to join our Facebook group. But once you do that, you can just find the link at 7:30 on March 25th and join us. All right. Whew.
Should we start this dumbass story?
Start this dumbass story.
All right, we watched a show called See No Evil. So this is a show where they use camera footage. So the police are solving it. Their shtick is the police are solving it by like security camera footage that they find, or someone has recorded the scene or something. And so you actually see real footage of it. Usually you can see the crime happening or whatever.
It's an ironic take because we're seeing all the evil.
We are seeing the evil.
At first I thought, is this about the blind? But it was not.
Is it Mary Ingalls?
No. Or Adam.
Documentary.
No.
But Adam got hit by that giant wheel and then he could see again.
I know. That's true.
Yes.
He did go.
Yeah.
That's so dumb. Oh my God.
You got conk. What?
All of a sudden my brain got really swollen and I could see again. What?
So this episode is season 2, episode 7, called Driven to the Edge.
That's right.
And it's fucked.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to go 2010. It's March. We're in Coral Springs, Florida. I don't know where that is.
Anywhere in Florida
I'm sure.
is unfortunate.
Yeah.
Usually.
They're different folk.
Mm-hmm.
So we see Detective Scott Myers, and he's talking about this case. So he's called in on a missing person case, and the missing person is Surya. I believe that's how her name was said, right? Surya, she's 41. She has 2 kids, and she was called in missing by her husband, Munawar Toha. Munawar Toha. The couple has been married for 10 years. And what I noticed first is the real Detective Scott Myers, who was talking himself on the episode, and the actor that plays Detective Scott Myers could not look more different. Like, they're totally different looking people. They don't even resemble each other at all.
I know. And I laughed.
Yeah.
And I thought, why didn't they? I mean, the guy in the reenactor was wearing glasses.
I mean, yeah, they're not even close to being similar.
And he looked like a stout kind of gentleman. And then the guy,
like, there was no similarity.
The real guy, no.
I mean, they didn't even try at all.
They
At
didn't
least
try.
They tried with the couple because, I mean, the couple was Indonesian. Thankfully, they tried to match the couple with the reenactors, which would have not went well if they didn't. So, but there's no matching the reenactor here. So I was confused.
Me too.
So Detective Myers, of course, trying to, figure out why Surya's missing. He goes to talk with Munawar, the husband, and he goes to the home. And Mr. Toha, of course, answers the door. Oh, of course, he comes in and Detective Myers says, Mr. Toha is acting frantic as you would if your wife is missing. He's worried sick and he just is continually bursts out crying. So you see Munawar at the sink talking to the 2 detectives, and Munawar is just at the sink cleaning his glasses repeatedly for some reason in the reenactment over and over, talking to the detectives.
Yeah.
And he's just cleaning his glasses and going, and and I'm
He
like,
did.
why are you doing the dishes and cleaning your glasses and not sitting down and doing an interview? Like, this is strange. So Detective Myers, of course, does the regular clash. What happened last night? What's going on? Trying to find something suspicious. But I would be like, Moonwar's acting like he's acting weird here. I don't know.
Yeah.
The thing was weird that he's like sitting at the sink and doing all these weird things.
He just wanted to be able to see.
Yes. Yeah, I guess he was really scrubbing his glasses down. So we learned that Surya and Munawar met and married in Indonesia 10 years ago.
They did.
And they had a like very decorative wedding photo. Like, she was all dolled, like very
Yes. It looked
lovely,
like a traditional,
very traditional,
large get together. Yes. Yeah, it was big time. Yep.
And then they're here in Florida with 2 very cute kids. So they show only Surya is always in pictures with the children, which I thought was telling. That it's only mom and kids in every single photo they showed. Munawar gets a job at the Department of Transportation, and Surya has an online jewelry business. And they just kind of live every day like that.
They do.
So normally, Surya takes the kids to school, and Munawar tells the detectives that this morning, she's a very devoted wife and mother, so her disappearing after taking the kids to school and not coming back home is very odd. And he's
unlike her.
He says, I'm very frightened. And is crying and hysterical.
Right.
The kids, they have 9-year-old Alex and 5-year-old Nathan, 2 young boys. The kids haven't seen their mom in over 24 hours and are freaking out. They keep asking, where is mom? Where is mom? Where is mom? And throughout this whole event, Munawar keeps telling them things like, she's on vacation at Kansas or something. He tells them bullshit stories the whole time, knowing like
she went down south.
Yeah, she went.
Wait,
yeah.
where? Oh no, she couldn't. They were in Florida.
Yeah,
She
but he's
went
telling him
somewhere.
bullshit
Yeah.
stuff, like weird stories. So now detectives are like, Munawar, just give us like a detailed timeline of what happened this day, because he's just being kind of an oddball. So the day Surya
was just so
appeared,
sad.
what happened? Yeah, he's just so very frightened and confused and just. So he says, we both wake up at 6:30, but normally Munawar, he gets up at that time, but this morning he happened to be so very, very sick. So Surya, of course, wakes up, and you see in the reenactment, she's kind of patting him. She says, get your medication. Like, what do you mean? So he's so very sick in bed that he can't even get his own Tylenol. So Surya comes back with like the Tylenol and some water. And I noticed Surya is wearing big business earrings to bed. She is wearing enormous Blanche Devereaux earrings.
She should have taken
enormous
that off.
Shelley Long big business, or not Shelley Long. It was
I thought
Bette Midler.
Bette Midler, yeah.
Big business earrings to bed. They were huge. So Surya brings him a water and some pills, and he just like swallows them with his head down still. I'm like, that's not the way you drink. And she takes the kids to school because Munawar is so very ill, he has to stay in bed. Like, even if she was sick, she'd have to get her ass up and get those kids to school.
Of course she would have.
And have pneumonia and still get those ass kids to school. Because you wouldn't do shit.
No.
And you have a what? Who knows what you have to take a Tylenol. So later in the morning, from the bed, so he's still very ill in the bed, you see him kind of in the bed going, huh, and he is hearing downstairs like a door open and close. And then he is hearing, he's not sure, but he thinks he's hearing voices, but he's not sure or not. And then he kind of gives like a,
Yeah.
because he's in bed, kind of
whoever
ill.
is down there, he's like, "Hey, I'm very sick up here.
Surya, is that you?
If you're down there, wife, please bring me some hot tea and medicine and rub my feet. And
is that you?" Normally, I mean, if that really happened, he would be telling the story politely for the show. When normally he would be like, "Bitch, where are you?" I mean, my God. So he finally gets the courage and the strength to get out of bed at 10. I mean, he's a warrior.
Way to go, buddy.
And he's trying to call Surya so many times. And she doesn't answer. So he goes downstairs and she's just not there. So he calls her on the phone several times. Dick, it's 10. If Jamie were sick at home and I normally just had an online business and it was 10 a.m. and I wasn't at home, he wouldn't give two shits and he would never call me 15 times wondering where I was. He would call me once.
No.
He would be like, she's out at Target or doing something. He wouldn't give two shits where I was.
For my family, unless there was a meal missed,
yes,
that would be the only time.
But
like, Phil would call and be like, are you going to make dinner or what? That is the only time.
There would be no, I'm so confused at why 10, seeing that she wasn't at home.
Right.
Why would he call her on the phone several times? Why would he be worried that she's not at home? Who would care?
Right. That's not lunchtime yet. Like no one missed a meal yet.
And why do you need to know where she is? Like, I mean, there's no way Jamie I wouldn't even be on his radar as being alive.
Yeah.
At that point.
At 10 o'clock a.m. No.
No. And then he's leaving messages like, sweetheart, where are you? Sweetheart. And he's telling the police each voice message went to voicemail. My God, sir.
Yeah.
She was taking these kids to school, maybe running errands and going to goddamn grocery store.
Yeah,
she doesn't
like
want to answer her asshole husband.
Right.
What does she have to say to you? Nothing.
No.
There's nothing to talk about. What do I need to say to you that I didn't just say to you yesterday or this morning? We have nothing to say to each other. Married 10 years? What are we supposed to talk about here? What do you need to say to me right now? Do you get graham crackers?
I often wonder, what do married people talk about?
What do we have to talk about? Zip. There's nothing on TV.
I have very little conversation.
No. You're not looking out the window and making fun of the neighbors. There's nothing to talk about.
Now, is that sad? What if other people do talk to their spouses?
I guess, but I mean, geez.
And we're abnormal.
He's not my friend.
No.
So he's so worried. I mean, this bitch could be at, he's acting so strange.
Right.
Because a normal husband would not even think twice.
Right.
He calls all of her friends and all of the neighbors asking where she is.
Mm-hmm.
All right. It's been like an hour and a half since she took him to school.
Right.
She could have had a gyno appointment and I told him. And he's calling all her friends and embarrassing her.
Yes. I've got a speculum in my hoo-ha, honey.
That doesn't make any sense. No husband would do that ever. So then it gets to the end of the school day and no one's there to pick up the kids. See, that's when he should have started calling. But so he goes.
But he didn't. He just went.
Yes. He didn't call her then at all. He just goes to pick her up from school or picks the kids up from school.
Right.
Something she usually does.
Right.
He takes them, though. He doesn't want the kids around. So he takes them to friends of his named Rick and Mary. And he just shows up at their house randomly and says, can you watch my kids? Because I don't know where my wife is. And they're like, sure. Then he says, I started driving all around the town looking for my wife. How is that going to work?
Right.
What are you going to accomplish doing that? Looking for her car? I mean, what are you going to do? Look for her? What? And then he said he headed home after hours of searching. And then he calls the police. But then he tells Sue that she's missing. And so then that's where we are.
Okay.
So then he says, by the way, someone took $5,000 out of our bank account.
What?
The police are like, sir, what?
This is odd.
And then they said, sir, where is that money now? And he goes, it's gone. It's gone.
Okay.
And they say, okay. And then Munawar says, you know what? I think when I heard that talking downstairs when I was up in my sick bed, what if it was her talking to a lover or a boyfriend? And they're like, okay, maybe. Okay, we'll look into it. So word of Surya's disappearance, of course, spreads because he's called everybody after she's gone for like an hour. She has 4 siblings.
And they're all over.
They're
place.
all over the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So in Sweden, she has a sister, Titty. And I thought it was Titty for the longest time until I'm like, oh my God, it's TT.
Yes.
And I don't know why I thought Titty in my head. Because I didn't listen to it at first because I was just
you were
doing
just writing
subtitles.
down subtitles.
And so in my head it was, why is her name Titty?
That's
So it's
TT, like our
I know, and I have
TT.
a friend
Yeah.
TT. So it's like Titty. So TT is drinking wine.
Yeah, TT is.
As in the reenactment, I thought, I like Titty.
Yes.
And so TT, and she gets the news and she's like, oh, fuck this. She knew right away it
She knows
was
something's
fucked.
up. Yep.
So she calls Munawar and says, what the hell is going on? And he says, there is no word from her yet.
Oh, and he goes
Yep.
to
And
cry
so the
again.
entire family is worried, like, this is fucked. And so they call her friend Addie, and that's the next one the police visit. So Addie is like, you're thinking she has a lover that she ran off with? She's like, that's fucked.
Yeah, no.
No. And she said she's not going to leave her fucking kids.
Right.
Like every story we have, she is not going to leave her kids.
Exactly.
Her kids were her whole life. She's not going to leave them. She doesn't have any kind of boyfriend or another guy. That's totally stupid. She wouldn't bring the boyfriend into her home and have a loud conversation with him after taking $5,000 out of their account.
No.
When she knows he's upstairs, and then leave and not take any of her stuff and not take her kids. That doesn't make any sense. And the police are like, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So the police have to go to the school to look at the cameras to make sure that was
right,
that she went there. So they go to school, they see the cameras, they see Surya park the car, drop the kids off at school. It's 8:11 a.m. Everything looks normal. She looks happy, drops the kids off, she gets back into the car. No one looks concerned, nothing looks weird. So Surya was actually due back at the school at 10 a.m. She was going to go on a field trip.
yes,
with her kids.
like a good mom.
But at 10 a.m., that's when Munawar said he thought he heard Surya talking with her lover in the downstairs.
No, come on.
And the police are like,
Munawar.
well, she can't be in 2 places at once. She couldn't be in her house and then on the school field trip. And so police...
And then Munawar, he wasn't like, then no one was concerned that he heard someone in his house and it wasn't her. Like, what the hell?
I know. None of it made sense.
No.
And then she doesn't end up going on the field trip.
She doesn't show up.
Because she never shows up. So police are like, we need to find her car. If we find where her car is, then it's going to lead us to her. So police just are like, we just are going to concentrate on finding where the hell her car is.
Right.
So 72 hours after she disappears, TT hauls her ass there from Sweden.
Yes.
And she sits down Munawar and says, fucker, what happened? And she says, Munawar again starts crying. And she can't get shit from him.
He's got a lot of tears.
Yeah. And she's like, Jesus, what the hell? So police tried to check out Munawar's story. Did he actually go pick up the kids from school? And there he is on the camera, picking the kids up from school. Detectives go talk to Rick and Mary. I keep wanting to say Rick and Morty. And they say, yeah, the dick dropped the kids off here wanting a sitter. And they're like, okay, everything Munawar's been saying checks out. Even though he seems like a weirdo, it kind of is makes sense. And then Munawar goes on TV and does a TV interview crying like a straight up fool. Please help me find my wife. I love her so much. Crying like a straight up butthole, embarrassing himself. So Munawar then all of a sudden finds the suicide letter that came
out of the blue,
like days later. And it is from Surya. It says this is so horrible at the same time. It's so fucking weird and horrible for this poor man.
Yeah.
What it says is Munawar or Surya, quote unquote, writes in this letter that she was raped by Munawar's co-worker, Malcolm Clark, and she just cannot go on. So Munawar's co-worker is named in this letter saying he raped Surya. And this is
in Surya's handwriting.
Handwriting.
And so
the sister Titi is like, oh hell, if that's true, she must have been like really depressed and scared. So the police go find this guy, Malcolm Clark, and they're like, what the hell, Malcolm Clark? And Malcolm Clark says, I don't even know her.
No.
Like, I don't know who she is. And they're like, well, why did she say you raped the shit out of her? And he's like, I don't know.
So bizarre.
I know nothing about this. I don't know anything going on. I just work with this guy. I don't know her. And he's like, totally like, this is, and they're like, where were you when this happened? He's like, I was just at home. Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know her. This has nothing to do with me. And so they prove that he was at work all day, but the work is close enough to her house that they think like he could leave work and like go attack her and go back. So they still like charge him. And it's just in this letter. And then,
and he's like, I don't know who she is.
I don't know anything about her. I don't understand why this is written about me. I don't like, this makes no sense.
Right.
But then they find like zero evidence, like nothing, zero evidence. So they let him go. So detectives are still searching everywhere for her car, everywhere. And the first Detective Myers, is like, I have a feeling it's just in the big lake we have. So the big lake in their town is called Crystal Lake.
Yes.
Which was the lake from Friday the 13th, right?
Oh.
So maybe, yes, it's cursed.
Look out.
And the lake is right in the middle of the whole goddamn town. So Detective Myers drives around the whole lake that has a big ass fence around it. And he drives around, he sees, fence. And then he gets to an area where it's hole in the fence. A car-sized hole in the fence.
Okay.
And then all the shrubs are run over by a car-looking thing right where the hole in the fence is. And then there's markings and scrapes all the way into the water. And he's like, I bet a car drove through the fence right here. And it looks exactly like a car could have done it. And so they're like, I bet the car's through here. And then they turn around and there's literally like a shop, like a whole mini mall there with fucking cameras pointing right at the hole in the fence. And the detective's like, oh my God, the whole thing is probably on camera, the car driving through the fence.
Right.
And so they go to the shops and they get all of the camera footage back to March 10th, or the day she disappeared. And they're like, we have the whole thing here on camera. So Titi and Munawar, though, are back trying to cope with the boys constantly asking where their mommy is. And this is where Munawar, he said, she's visiting Miami. And they're like, but why? And when will she be home? They keep saying that. So detectives play this security camera and they go back in 24-hour increments until they see that the fence is whole again. So they're like, hole in the fence, hole in the fence, hole in the fence, hole in the fence. Oh, fence
there
is fixed.
It is. Yes.
And all the shrubs are fixed.
Yes.
And so then they go forward minute by minute until it's nighttime and they see these headlights come. and it's Surya's car, and it's nighttime. So Surya's car parks into a parking spot.
And they're like, shit, there it is.
Yeah. This dick gets out of the car, but it's too dark to tell who it is, but they can tell it's a man.
Mm-hmm.
And this man, or a very handsome woman, but they think it's a man. Yeah. This man goes to the trunk, gets a bike out of the trunk, and then gets back into the car and drives the fucking car through the fence into the lake. And then gets back, watches the car sink in the lake, gets on the fucking bike, and bikes away.
Yes.
And they're like, holy shit, we just saw it happen. And so then the dive team, they get a dive team. And the divers are like waist deep because it's like not deep. I bet they could have seen it. I mean, it couldn't have been deep.
Well, they said they couldn't see it.
But I mean, come on. But they find it like instantly because it couldn't have been deep. It's a lake, and it was right at the
Some
edge.
lakes are deep.
Well, not when you just drive right into it from the edge. So it's her car. They pull the car out, and they reenact when I think of the police looking in with a flashlight, and they find a body wrapped in there with trash bags. And how horrifying and scary.
They know right away because it's her car.
But
and she's
look into
missing.
a scary ass wet car
Underwater
and see a body. And, so she was put in the car, and they know it's her, and so obviously should not take her own life. It's a homicide.
Right.
So police now watch more of the security camera, and right after, in fact, 9 minutes after that handsome woman or unidentified man rode away on the bike, a pickup truck drives back. And that pickup truck is Munwar's pickup truck. The pickup truck just does a slow U-turn, looking right at that spot. And the fucking bike that was the handsome woman or the man rode away with is in the back of the pickup truck. Like the bike is there.
You can see the bike from the previous video.
The guy with the person
in the back of Munwar's truck.
Right. And they're like, holy shit. There's Munawar in his truck with the bike checking to make sure the car was sunk. He's in front of a camera. The one spot he put the car in, it was in front of a mini mall camera.
He couldn't let it
dumbest
go.
Idiot, though. Dumb.
Could not let it go.
So they go right away to arrest Munawar. Mm-hmm. So in the reenactment, they're like, the police swarm his driveway.
Right.
Just in time because he was getting passports for the kids to take off. And they knock on his car door, and TT is in there too. And they pull him out of the car door, and TT starts yelling, I hate you. I hate you. I tell my husband about this. I hate you.
Like, for real, she's been there with him.
Supporting him.
Living with him.
I know. And he did it.
Like not living with him, but she's staying in his house because her sister's missing.
And he just is like, shit. You know, he knows they found him.
Yeah.
But then they go back to the kitchen, and there's blood splatter all over the kitchen.
It's been there the whole time.
Couldn't you found that?
It's been there.
Yeah, there's blood splatter everywhere. So what they think happened is that Surya came home at lunch, because that's when her cell phone stopped. Munawar forced her to write this note, forced her to get that money out of the ATM, and then they said they got in a physical fight, but I think he was already physically forcing her to do these things that he just then beat the shit out of her, I think. But he beat her to death in the kitchen, wraps her up in those garbage bags in the kitchen, and drags her into the car, and then waits until nighttime to drive through the fence in front of a store with a camera.
Right.
I mean, not a part of the fence that was by woods or anything. In front of a store. What an idiot asshole. He has a shit brain.
He does.
So then this dumbass who literally has rancid poop for a brain in jail orders a hit on all of the people outside of jail, like Titty
He
and
can't
all of them.
Stop.
No.
And he's like a literal nerd.
Oh, he looks like an ugly ass nerd.
Like when I first saw
With dirty
the
glasses.
picture of him and her, I thought she had maybe looked at an eclipse.
Yes. Burnt out retinas is
100%. Now, when they showed pictures of their beautiful wedding, he did look
There's Vaseline on
better.
the lens, maybe.
But he did not age well.
Oh, no.
Munawar.
Well, he's evil.
Yeah, the evilness showed through, and it makes me sad.
So, yeah, he is on... He's actually recorded because what dick doesn't know they record prison calls? Everybody knows that. If you watch true crime.
Yes, of course.
So he reaches out to a person that he thinks is a hitman, but of course it's an undercover cop. They all are.
You dumbass.
So he puts a hit on Rick and Mary, and Addie, the friend. And we hear the actual phone call. He doesn't even care if like their kids are in the way.
Right.
So he gets more like charges.
Right.
And as he's in court,
They
he's
just keep
sitting
adding
there.
up.
He's like a total psycho. He doesn't even care. So he goes to trial in 2014, and of course he's guilty, and he just gets life.
Right.
For all of the things together. But I don't know if he is in life for his whole life or if he gets some sort of weird fucking
I will
25 years
look it up.
parole or something. But what a weird fool. I mean, the horrible fake crying.
And
then I am so worried.
he did just cry.
He cried
literally
nonstop.
every time.
And then saying you're calling after your wife is gone for 1 hour.
It
No
was too
husband
soon.
calls their wife.
It was too soon,
No.
Munawar.
Nope.
You screwed that up.
A husband might call their wife if they're gone for 3 days and say, "Hey, I noticed you haven't been around."
But something was wrong with him, right?
Yeah, I think something was
Like
wrong.
he was evil for a long time.
Yes. I think there's
But was
more than one
she-
thing wrong with him.
Yeah. She just couldn't get away or what?
I don't know. Or she put up with this bullshit for some reason. I don't know.
Ugh.
I mean, he was a weird dick. But maybe she could,
100%.
I don't know.
100
Handle him? Yeah, for some, and he got the upper hand at just one time. I don't know.
Well, TT got to go back to Norway where she lived.
Oh, they said Sweden.
Oh, Sweden.
Oh,
Sorry,
yeah.
I get those two mixed
Oh,
up
well,
because it's Scandinavia.
Yeah.
But she took the babies back
Oh,
with her.
good.
Yeah. So she
Thank
took
God.
the two boys back to Sweden, and they
Thank
were
goodness.
raised there with
I
her and
hope
her
so.
husband. Yeah. So at least that's good. So fuck you, Munawar.
Yes.
We hate you.
Oh, what a total butt. Well,
Was a total butt.
he was.
Yeah, he
just
was.
a weird fool. And his emotions were all wrong because he didn't have any.
And very ugly.
Oh, not a sight for
No.
sore eyes, not a sight for eyes.
Not a sight for eyes.
Nope.
Ugh. All right. Well,
Thank you for
we
joining
hope
us
you
on that one.
enjoyed this week's horrible husband who murdered his poor
beautiful wife. All she wanted to do was raise her lovely boys and have a
didn't
beautiful
even
life.
Care. I thought I knew right away when he went to pick up the kids that it was him because he didn't know that she wouldn't pick them up. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they weren't even waiting, crying, going like, "No one picked us up." He just knew he had done her in. What a dumbass. So join us for book club if you want to. Join our Facebook group. We'd love a rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or where do people listen to podcasts?
People
I don't
can
know.
comment on the episodes now on Spotify.
They
Yes,
can?
you can leave messages about the episode.
I hope you
on
leave
Spotify.
nice ones.
So far, they have
Okay.
mostly been.
Oh, sometimes people are like, these bitches are dumb.
One kind of has been
One had a
Yeah.
bad.
that I've seen. There
Okay.
could be more.
Well, we'll put that aside.
Yeah. That's okay.
Okay. Thanks for listening. Join us again next week. And we're working on a Patreon. I'm so
And
excited to
Megan
do this
found a good
Patreon.
one.
Okay.
All
yeah.
right.
We're working on it. Bye.
Bye.